This is Michael Woodward, and this is episode 54 of the Jumble Think podcast.
T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Jumble Think podcast, a podcast focused on telling the stories of dreamers, makers, innovators, and influencers. Along the way, we'll give you some tips of how you can chase your own big idea and dream and make it a reality. On the podcast today is Alessandra Perez-Rubio and Louisa Rechter. They are the co-founders of MESTIZA, New York. More about them in a moment. On Monday's episode, we have Bix and Joe Bixon. It's a father and son team. They are future hackers. You're going to have to check back to see what that means. They've worked with teams from Adobe, Microsoft, Chevron, Guinness, Starbucks, Ford, and so many other incredible companies. We talk about baby boomers and millennials and a ton of other really cool topics, so make sure to check out that episode this Monday. Tomorrow is Friday. That means one thing. It is One Tip Friday at Jumble Think. Swing on over to our Facebook and Instagram pages and check out our tip to help you chase your big idea and dream so that you can make it a reality. While you're over at our Facebook and Instagram pages, make sure you like and follow us. That way you'll know every incredible guest we have coming up, giveaways, tips, and other amazing things to help you on your journey to chase your big idea and dream. Now let's jump into my interview with Alessandra and Louisa, co-founders of MESTIZA, New York. I am super excited about my guests today. Their names are Alessandra Perez-Rubio and Louisa Rechter. They are the co-founders of MESTIZA New York, an incredible fashion company based out of New York City. Their story starts in friendship and then goes to creating an amazing brand that is being worn by women like Chrissy Teigen, Ashley Graham, Kate Walsh, America Ferrera, Molly Sims, and so many other women. But it doesn't stop there. They also are on a social mission that is impacting the world by using their brand. It's a cool story. Let's jump into the interview and the conversation I had with Alessandra Perez-Rubio and Louisa Rechter from MESTIZA, New York. Well, I am super excited about my guests and looking forward to hearing their story and what they're doing. I want to welcome Alessandra and Louisa to the podcast. Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having us, Mike.
Thanks for having us, Mike.
Now, you have a really cool story of how you created your business. And we're going to talk about your business more, but tell me a little bit about the origin stories of how you created what you created.
Sure. So to start, I have to rewind several years, maybe about 10 years ago. 12 years ago, oh my God. So Alessandra and I went to Wash U together in St. Louis. And I'm from St. Louis, born and raised. And my mother grew up in the Philippines. So growing up, I would always hear these really cool fairy tale stories about the Philippines. And I just thought it was this magical place. So then I met Alessandra freshman year. We were rushing the same sorority, and I found out that she was from Manila. And growing up in St. Louis, I just hadn't really met anyone from the Philippines. So I immediately knew this was going to be a special connection. Yeah, we shared a lot of mutual friends, surprisingly. And so anyway, we became fast friends, always had a love for fashion. I would say we're arguably the most stylish girls in college. We shared a closet for about 4 years. But fast forward to 2014, we were both working and living in New York City. And one night we met for wine on the Lower East Side. And we were kind of commiserating about how many weddings we had to go to. Like everyone was starting to get engaged and having black tie weddings. And we really had nothing to wear. The dresses that really resonated with us were these designer gowns that were so gorgeous and ornate, but they had a price tag of $5,000 or more.
Wow.
So yeah, we couldn't really spend 2 months rent or more on those dresses. And then the dresses we could afford, sometimes we questioned their branding or their quality. Are we going to throw these out after a year? And we really saw a void in the market for elevated, beautiful cocktail attire at this accessible contemporary price point. So that's kind of when a light bulb went off. And Alessandra asked me, hey, would you want to start a business with me? And I was like, well, sure, but like, I can't really draw. Can you? And she's like, well, I can try. So over the next few months, she pulled together some of her sketches that she had done. And I really loved the designs. I thought they were feminine and fresh. And I thought she had a really unique perspective. So that could also be commercial. So I was like, okay, I'm in. So while we were still at our jobs, we were working on MESTIZA and like totally, coming up with the creative and the branding. And after work, we'd go in the garment district and we worked with this factory to create a set of samples.
Wow.
Yeah. So January 2015, we boldly quit our jobs. We wanted to sell directly to small specialty stores.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, we thought we had it made, but it actually ended up being a huge disaster.
Oh,
we cold called about 200 stores on the floor of my apartment to no avail, and we were looking at each other like, oh my God.
I was 5 months pregnant and I just quit my job. I'm like, what have we done?
It was, it was a failure. So we had to pivot at that moment, and we were like, all right, how are we going to do this?
Yeah.
So we started with trunk shows with friends, family, acquaintances. We sold 100 units in 2 weeks, which gave us money to start a online shop.
Yeah.
And get a little bit more funding. And in our third, 3 seasons went by. Our first season, we were picked up by Beholden, and our third, we were at Neiman Marcus.
Wow.
Yeah, it was such a rush. I think that season, Louisa and I blasted our lookbook to any buyer we could get, like our hands on their email. We just, and somehow magically, our lookbook, fell into the inbox of the head buyer for the dress collections for Neiman Marcus.
That's so cool.
And, she loved it. And it was kind of crazy because she had a last minute cancellation. I remember she emailed us. She's like, I have a last minute cancellation, 1:15 p.m. tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'd like to see you guys. And I was like, we don't have the collection together. So in 24 hours, Louisa and I frantically pulled the collection together. We got, booked a conference room in our working space, and, she came in, she made her selections, and when she left, I think, with the biggest order that we had seen at that point, we were, completely speechless, and I remember there was, a plate of cookies in the middle of the conference room, in the middle of the table, and both Louise and I literally just started to, silently binge eat the cookies, and then a minute later, Louisa was like, Al, did we just get Neiman Marcus in our third season? I'm like,
yeah. We erupted in screams,
it was,
clapping, jumping around.
Amazing.
It was really one of the best feelings
to
date.
Yeah. The rest is history. We were off to the races at that point.
Well, it stands out to me that you mentioned that you quit your jobs and you were obviously all in on this. Mm-hmm. What was that like to just take that leap and be like, okay, we're pretty sure?
It was terrifying. I was 5 months pregnant and I did not even know how to design a dress.
Wow.
Everything for me was sort of trial by fire. For both of us, it's trial by fire, kind of figuring out which levers to pull, what works, what doesn't. So it was scary, but kind of exhilarating at the same time because I had never really done anything so ballsy in my life, and neither had Louisa.
Yeah, and I agree. It was really terrifying. My stomach was in knots for several months afterwards.
For the first 6 months, we were our stomach was in knots.
Yeah,
I think.
it was sleepless nights. I worried myself sick, literally.
Wow.
Because, it was really scary putting yourself out there creatively. And what if you fail? And you have all these questions in your mind. And I wasn't married. I had just given up an amazing job with a great salary. But I really did believe that we were going to make this work. And
failure wasn't an option.
Yeah, we just said failure's not an option. No matter what, we'd have to pivot. We'll make it work.
That's so cool. And, so many people ride something into failure. They just don't pivot. And it was cool that you guys were able to see that, make the pivot, and go, we've got to hustle, we've got to make this happen, and figure it out.
Yeah,
totally.
Exactly.
So tell us a little bit more about that shared heritage that you guys have, that connection at that level.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I'm originally from the Philippines. And so what was so cool is when Louisa and I met, and I found out that her mother was from Cebu. My sister actually lives there and have so many friends in common. And, this idea that the culturally and aesthetically, fashion in the Philippines is kind of an untapped source of inspiration for me. And we really wanted to make that a center point in the inspiration for the collection. And so much of it comes from vintage photographs of our mothers and grandmothers in the Philippines in the 1960s. MESTIZA, the word MESTIZA itself means a woman of mixed ancestry.
Wow.
So yeah, specifically in the Philippines, I'm Spanish Filipino, but like the brand is so much a melange of Louisa and I's aesthetics. It's a combination of the two.
Yeah, I'm from St. Louis. She's from Manila, and together we're MESTIZA.
That's not cheesy at all.
We hear often about people who start businesses with people, whether it's a family member or a friend, and it doesn't always go well. You guys seem to have such a connection that you were able to overcome some of those obstacles. Mm-hmm. What is it like to work with someone that you have such a bond with at a friendship level and then transition that into a relationship of business?
Yeah, I mean, so I think that Louisa and I have found a lot of successes in our working relationship. A few things. One is we recognized a mutual drive, ambition, and passion to build something that's really impactful and a brand that's, beautiful for girls like us. I mean, secondly, there definitely needs to be a balance between, work and friendship, but because we've built something that we're both so excited about, when the scales tip towards, talking about work all the time, I think it's a good thing. I consider ourselves lucky in that way, and we fully embrace it.
Yeah.
So it's been good. I mean, we both work hard. Of course, there's a lot of overlap. In the beginning, there was a lot of overlap. You know, because both of us wanted to touch every single part of the business.
Yeah.
But over the past few years, as we've grown into our roles, we've both kind of taken ownership on what we do. I do the creative and Louisa does the business. I've always heard that, behind a great creative director, there's an even greater business mind that kind of drives
thanks, Al.
Yeah, it propels the business forward, but it's true.
Yeah.
And so we have that equal shared passion and drive to move it forward. We recognize each other in having different talents. And over the past few years, we've kind of grown into our own roles to the point where now we need to find someone new to kind of fill in the gaps, because we're a two-man show still, We're doing everything.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You talked about the roles that you've kind of fallen into, you've discovered along the way. In defining those roles, was that hard to feel like you're stepping on each other's toes, or were you able to easily and quickly just find, I'm really good at the business side, I'm really good at the creative side?
We always kind of knew what we wanted going into it. I always knew that I wanted to, my dreams were to become a CEO of a company, and Alessandra's dreams were to become a creative director. When we first started, we didn't really have defined roles because so often we were flexing in our positions, but it did take some time. We recently started not copying each other on every single email that goes out.
Okay.
Just to lower the amount of work, and also leveraging ourselves as, someone who steps in if something goes wrong with a vendor.
Right.
It shows that we have, more people on our team to back us up. So I think that we slowly evolved into the roles that we always wanted to have.
That's cool. And going into this was, you went to college together. Is this the area in which you studied fashion and business, or?
No.
No, not at all. No. Louisa majored in French, and
I know.
And I was actually a graphic design major.
Okay, so design, there's a little crossover there.
Yeah, there's a little bit, yeah.
That's cool.
But definitely one of those things is all of it was trial by fire. Learning how to design dresses was, very much self-taught.
Right. And, luckily for me, I studied French. I had a minor in marketing, but we were just discussing how I don't even know if minors really matter to employers anymore. But out of college, I was really lucky to get a position at Millie, which is a great fashion house in New York.
Yeah.
And at the time, they were about 10 years old, but they were very much run like a startup.
Okay.
So I was lucky enough to be able to learn from some really amazing people. And I was always passionate about fashion, but this really taught me everything I need to know. I'm always learning, but this was a great foundation to start a business.
That's cool.
For me, it was like a little bit scarier when we quit our jobs, but for me, because I had no experience in designing dresses.
Right.
But as, you know, every season we would get feedback from people and they would say, oh my God, I've never seen anything like it. Like what you're putting out there is so different than what I've seen in the market. And that's kind of when I realized, like, okay, maybe the fact that I don't have formal training in fashion has given me an edge and given me a different, fresh perspective. You know,
Exactly.
So it's become a positive.
I can really relate to that because in my business, I ended up in my business by accident. And along that journey, there were a lot of rules that I broke in the industry that I'm in, not because I was, you know, some kind of maverick or trying to break the rules, but just because I went in with a fresh perspective. So it's really cool to hear how you're taking a fresh perspective and then infusing these different influences into your designs and how that process works for you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in the beginning, I kind of designed whatever it is that I wanted, and I didn't really have a process. But now, after we've had about 5 seasons under our belt, you know, I have a different approach. The most important thing that I do is like really listen to, you know, Louisa, our sales team, you know, the buyers, and of course the customer, so that I'm able to kind of design, of course, as creatively and as boldly as I want, but also a little bit analytically. I think it's important to, you know, take past selling data in mind, see what are the trends and what are the silhouettes that most of our customers are drawn to, and kind of capitalize on that.
You said that you are filling a gap that while you were looking for this formal wear, cocktail wear, that kind of space, you weren't seeing the kind of products that you were looking for. How do you find inspiration when you're creating something that you're filling a gap that isn't filled?
Well, I wouldn't say that it isn't filled. I would say there's just a very light sprinkling, an assortment of really beautiful, elevated cocktail attire at this price point that we ourselves shop. Finding inspiration, I find it everywhere. A lot of it honestly came from when my grandmother passed away. She left me all these like beautiful gowns. Wow. And I think I took a lot of the inspiration for like embellishment placement and silhouette from that, and that was kind of the starting point, and it's evolved from there significantly because of what I see, you know, in the market. There's just seeing what other designers are doing, and you know, just a lot of research. Wow. A lot of Pinterest.
Pinterest, the dark hole.
It's my best friend. I know. It's a rabbit hole I fall into daily.
Yeah. Yeah, I could spend days on there.
Oh, I know.
Maybe I have. I don't know. So you have this great company and you're growing it. You're seeing more people really fall in love with the brand. Tell us a little bit about your ideal customer and what they look like and what it is about your designs that draw them to you.
So when we first started MESTIZA and we were concepting the brand, we thought like, well, what do we spend our money on? And we both agreed that for trend pieces, we might shop at a fast fashion chain. But for something that's really beautiful and if we're going to a wedding and we really want to stand out, we're willing to drop $300 to $800 on a dress that we can have in our closet forever. Yeah. So and that's the max that we are willing to pay for something like that. So really, this sounds kind of cheesy, but we are designing for ourselves. So our woman is someone who is in her 20s to 50s. She is usually career-oriented and is busy after work. You know, she has after-work drinks. She's going on dates. She has weddings, bat mitzvahs, vacation. So we really want to be able to dress her for all those special moments in her life and really touch on an emotional aspect. You know, we want our customer to think of our dresses as a fond memory. You know, when they pull out of their closet, that's cool. They are like, oh, I remember this night. I got a little out of hand, or like this was my wedding day, and I will always cherish this dress forever. We do some bespoke pieces. So I think it's just someone who is just like us, you know,
a social butterfly. She's always going somewhere.
That's so cool. Well, one of the things you just said there really stands out because so many times when you're going to these events, you get a dress or an outfit that is a one-time deal. And then you move on from it. But I love what you said. You said, you know, they can buy our product, put it into their closet and go back to it. and bring it out and have it as a part of their lifestyle.
Yeah, it's something about a beautiful dress evoking a memory from an amazing night. And that's really like why we do it, you know.
And to be honest, I do that personally. There are some I really try to clean out my closets because New York, you know, you have very limited space. So I do sometimes have to part ways, but there are certain dresses. I have this one Marc Jacobs dress that is dingy and white. Yeah,
I know
that
exactly
was
which
amazing
one.
Dress. And
exactly
I can't part with it because I felt so good in the dress when I wore it. It was such a fun night and a fun time of my life. And I just think, you know, if I could pass this down to someone or just have it in my closet as a little keepsake, just makes me happy.
So cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Now, we started talking about the classic elements in your fashion. And you say that each piece is designed with that vintage wanderlust. And there's all these different influences, whether it's, 1960s bell sleeves or Filipino Colonial silhouettes. Mm-hmm. There's all of these influences. When you approach your design, when you're stepping into it and you're really trying to do something fresh, we talked about Pinterest and looking at other places. Are there moments where you just kind of come in and you see a new design or you're creating a new design and you're just like, wow, that's it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's this one dress in the next collection, which I'm losing sleep over because it's so pretty that I remember I designed it, I laid it out, and I and I brought it in for our first preliminary design meeting. This was like back in May, and I prefaced the meeting by telling Louisa, I was like, okay, if you don't like this dress, our friendship is over.
Did you?
I'm sure I'll love it. She loved it, of course.
Love it.
Okay.
But yeah, I always have those moments. Like I like to have a moment where I really connect with every single thing I design, and if I lose that excitement about it, then I cut it from the collection.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there is an emotional attachment to what you guys are doing.
Absolutely.
It's not. You think of so many different fashion houses now, and it's like they're just putting stuff out. Like there's no emotion behind it. It's just very systematic. But it sounds like you guys truly, you're talking about the memories that these outfits bring back. You talk about, the design and how you guys you're passionate about this design. It sounds like this runs in your blood. It's not just another design that we're trying to sell, but it's something that you're really giving your soul into.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, we live, breathe, eat MESTIZA, and
from the moment that we wake up in the morning.
And when Alessandra's designing, we really try to make sure that we ourselves would wear every single piece and feel excited to wear it. And it really does become kind of like your baby.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. MESTIZA is more than a company. You're doing some cool philanthropic. You have an edge to it about that. Mm-hmm. What's that all about, and how is that impacting your brand?
So because the Philippines is so near and dear to our hearts, and so much of the brand is inspired by the Philippines, we wanted to pay homage to that. So we researched a really great organization called the Habi Philippine Textile Council.
Yeah.
And what they do, it consists of women throughout different regions of the Philippines who come together and congregate under open-aired huts, and they weave in a very traditional manner. So we donate to them on an annual basis, and in addition, we also place fabric orders with them.
Oh, cool.
And we'll give them some creative direction, but we really wanted to stay authentic to who they are. So they will send us fabric, and then we'll create styles in New York City and sell them exclusively on our website. So everyone knows that when they purchase a Habi by MESTIZA product, it's giving a woman a steady paycheck so she can support her family. It's helping sustain the Philippine cotton industry, and it's empowering women and preserving a centuries-old craft, which is slowly dying. And I think it's impacted our brand in a positive way. I think that, it makes people feel good to know that they're giving back to something that's important. Yes.
It also helps your brand too.
Definitely.
By bringing that
Definitely.
Exactly.
And we hope to expand it even further. Right now, it's still a pretty small collection, but we have some ideas in store.
There's a few things in the works right now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool. You've, like we mentioned throughout, you're becoming beloved to so many people. Chrissy Teigen, Ashley Graham, Kate Walsh, America Fiera, Molly Sims. I'm sure the list can go on and on. Why are these people and so many customers just drawn to what you're creating?
I think that, I mean, it feels wonderful to have such an illustrious list of women, you know, really support the brand and turn to us to dress them. It's, I guess, kind of an indicator, you know, for, you know, how we've done on such a short amount of time and potentially what's to come. But I think what gives us, you know, what helps us stand out, you know, in the market is, in a crowded market, is, you know, the fact that, you know, we're so connected to the product.
Yeah.
You know, we really love what we're putting out there.
Yeah.
And I think people can feel that and they can see it. And I think we've become beloved because what we're putting out there also, the designs, it's a little bit different. It has a fresh perspective. Like, again, what I said earlier, and the fact that I don't really have a formal training in fashion that I was so, like, nervous about in the beginning, you know, ended up being one of our strongest attributes.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I look at what you guys are creating. Spent some time on your website. I'm obviously not the perfect market for you guys, but I just look at what you're creating, and I can see how it can bridge the gap between different personalities of people, different styles, and even different body types and elements like that. When you're approaching what you're creating, do you keep that in mind?
Yes, absolutely. When designing a collection, I really try and hit different price points, different, you know, have a dress for someone to wear to different types of occasions and different silhouettes that can hit, you know, different age groups. You know, we'll have shorter dresses for the younger 20-somethings, but we'll also have some more conservative, longer silhouettes for a woman in her 40s and 50s.
Yeah. You're coming into a very crowded market. And there are so many brands struggling right now. And, you know, there's this argument of, well, you've got Macy's and they're struggling and they're a powerhouse. You've got Nordstrom's and they're having a rough go of some elements there. You have Amazon just exploding, and so many people are saying, you know, design is being death by Amazon. Mm-hmm. How is that impacting your brand? How is that impacting what you do? And what's your perspective and take on that?
I would say that my perspective is that it's really exciting right now to be a new brand because a lot of the retailers you mentioned are big department stores.
Right.
And what they have right now could just not be working for them. They need to find newness and freshness in the market. So that's really exciting for us because we're new and we're fresh. In terms of Amazon, I get this question a lot actually about what's our Amazon strategy. So, you know, I love Amazon personally, and I use it all the time. I think it's a great tool to use when you are, when you know what you want to buy already. Okay. It's not always the best for discovery. However, they are you know, they own ShopBop, and ShopBop is an account we're trying to eventually partner with. And I think that will help propel our brand. We also use Amazon checkout on our own website to make it easier for customers to pay. Yeah. But I do think that they're going to keep evolving. But in the meantime, we're just trying to make our website really easy to use, make the customer feel like she's discovering something special and novel, and then hopefully become a well-known enough brand to be on Amazon so people can search for a MESTIZA cocktail dress.
Well, you mentioned about brands, department stores are having this problem with freshness and newness and maybe being on point with the stuff that they're bringing in and what they're representing. How are you guys keeping it fresh? You're 5 years or 5 seasons into this, and each season I'm sure is has its own challenges, its own experimentation, trying things. How are you keeping it fresh and new on what you're doing?
I'm always doing research. I'm always, you know, keeping my eyes peeled. I go like I mean, I go shopping all the time, not to buy things for myself, but to really see what's in the market. And like sometimes I'll even go to, you know, the sale rack at Neiman Marcus, and I'll be like, well, why is this on sale? You know, and why, you know, what happened here so that I can do it better or make it, you know, more commercial.
Yeah, just taking something that's almost there.
Yeah.
And rethinking it, re-engineering it.
Yeah.
Right. And also, you know, we have some styles that have been bestsellers for us, and Alessandra does a really good job of like just tweaking them a little bit, and it kind of becomes fresh in its own way. Again.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we're still so small, and a lot of our best-selling styles haven't been seen by everybody.
Yeah.
So that in and of itself, you know, gives us a fresh perspective and a fresh, you know, look for everybody. Like one of our best-selling dresses was this tassel dress called the Shimmy Shimmy that we actually wanted to design without any tassels, without any embellishment. But I was like in the garment district one day, and I passed by like this home furnishing place with tassels, and that's like kind of what led to it. I pinned the tassels on one dress, and you know, the rest is history. It ended up being
and that was one of the last dresses that we designed and inserted into our collection. We thought like, oh, I don't know if it was an afterthought, ended up being our bestseller.
Well, I also designed it because I was pregnant at the time, and there was nothing else that I could wear in my collection, and I was like, I just want one thing, and I'm putting tassels on it.
Yeah, but it's been great for women who are pregnant, women with, you know, after they had birth, and women who aren't pregnant at all. It's a really great style.
Do you keep, you know, a lot of fashion is one season, the next season kills the first season. Do you keep things on past just your first season? Like if you have something like that tassel dress, which is just doing so well, will you let that kind of live there for a while so that new people...
Yes, 100%. We have now, I mean, in the beginning, we didn't really have any core styles, but that tassel dress has become like an evergreen style for us that we bring back and we pull it forward every season, and we always make it available for customers as well as, you know, retailers when they come and meet with us for market. And sometimes we'll tweak it a little bit and change the color, offer it in a limited edition quantity and with a slightly different tassel, but at its core, it's always going to be something that we offer.
You talk about this tassel dress, and there's going to be some people listening that may be unaware of your brand. Where would be some places that they could start? Some pieces that you would say, these are kind of things that you should check out and start with in our lookbook, in our styles throughout the years?
Sure. I would say we have the Shimmy Shimmy tassel dress, which covers the shoulders. Then we have an off-the-shoulder version called the Franca tassel dress. Some other really great styles would be our Laura Bell dress. It's a little spaghetti strap dress.
Okay.
Fit and flare. And that's on our website
That's
currently.
what Chrissy Teigen wore that one.
Chrissy Teigen wore it. It's a great shape. I would say that also our flame tree style that was worn by Ashley Graham is a really nice style to check out as well. Really cool neckline.
Well, you just mentioned some people, and when we talked about it earlier, who've worn your stuff. So you're flipping through the channels and you get to like E or something, and they're talking about a runway show, and you see one of your outfits on there. What's your reaction?
Oh my God! Oh my God! Like texting everyone, posting on Facebook, emailing my mom. I mean,
I know
we
probably made all of our friends when Chrissy wore the dress. We probably everyone was so sick of hearing from us at that point because I posted it to Facebook, Instagram, the MESTIZA Instagram, Louisa's Instagram. Her husband posted it too. It was like
it's amazing, like how when Chrissy Teigen wore that dress, I really felt like the internet broke. It was for us. It was picked up by so many different publications, including Vogue and Harper's, all the celebrity websites.
When it got mentioned in Vogue.com, I think I cried a little bit.
Yeah, that was a really cool moment for us. And there was just so much buzz and so much energy. Sales on the website were amazing. So it's just really incredible how much an influencer can help out a brand.
So cool.
The right person, the right fit, the right time, it can really work magic.
You've done so much in such a short period of time. You've done more than a lot of people creating brands, creating fashion get to do. Where do you guys want to go next?
Well, in the next few years, we definitely want to diversify our product categories into doing accessories, possibly children's, bridal. You know, at the moment, I'm designing 2 collections a year. I'd like to expand it to 6 collections eventually. Yeah, that's like
That's
full.
aggressive.
It's aggressive, but it's going to happen. We definitely need to hire more people for that to happen. And eventually, you know, we'd really like to open up our first, I guess is what we're calling it, is an experiential retail studio where, you know, women can come in and shop the current collection, but also preview and pre-order the new collection.
Oh, cool.
You know, meet with like a custom, you know, tailored to do a custom dress from our collection to their exact wants and needs, and have like ultimately a really luxurious shopping experience where they can sip on champagne while they wait for someone to, you know, pin the dress on them, you know, something like that.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Before we jump into the rapid fire questions, how can somebody find your products? How can they get it in their closet? And how can they start wearing it?
MESTIZANewYork.com to start.
Yes, and we are also sold at Neiman Marcus, NeimanMarcus.com, as well as some really great specialty stores like Two Skirts. Julian Gold is a really amazing store in Dallas. And if they go to www.MESTIZANewYork.com, click on retailers, they can find a retailer in their neighborhood.
That's so cool. Let's jump into some rapid fire questions.
I'm scared.
I'm going to toss one out that's not on the list. I don't get to ask it often, but I love when I can. You guys are based in New York. Where's the have-to-go place in New York if somebody's visiting New York City?
If I were to give advice to a tourist, I would say that, you know, going anywhere, just exploring downtown, like going to the West Village and Greenwich Village, posting up at a cute restaurant is just a must do in New York. I always say avoid Times Square. Like that's not the real New York. Go somewhere downtown. I also love the Met. I think that the rooftop there is, and having a glass of wine on the roof is the best view and the most relaxing thing you can do in New York. It's just so beautiful.
I would say go adventure to Brooklyn. I would say, okay, now that I think about it, my favorite place is going to the Brooklyn Promenade and seeing the Manhattan skyline. That's like one of my favorite things to do.
That's where the carousel is and
where
stuff,
the carousel
right?
is, exactly. Yeah. It's my favorite place.
And yeah, I think just like immerse in the food, shopping, and, you know, museum scene. It's just so unbelievable. We're so lucky to have what we have in New York. It's amazing. Yeah.
What are some tips that you would give someone with a big idea or a dream and they simply don't know where to start?
Well, don't listen to the naysayers. A lot of the things that are kind of scary in the beginning is when you tell someone your big idea, everyone's, well, you know, I don't know, it's very risky, maybe you should think about this and this and that. You know, if you're really passionate about something, you know, go forth and do it. And don't listen when anybody says anything but positive things, you know, especially in the beginning.
I also think that something that we did that I think is important for someone with a new brand or new idea is to think, what problem am I solving and who are my customers? Because that once you answer those 2 target questions, everything else will be able to fall into place.
That's really good.
Defining your unique value proposition is really important from day one.
That's good. That's
Makes
good stuff.
Everything else more helpful. And then you do, every decision you make, you do with intention and for like a higher purpose. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
What's one change you'd like to see in the world?
Well, you know, we witness this a lot as female entrepreneurs. We think that there could be less barriers for women in business, and we'd like to see that evolve a little bit more. I think that, of course, we've made big strides, but I still think that there's some inequality that exists, and I'd like to see that go away forever.
Cool. You're both young.
I guess.
We're both 30.
You're both young. I just turned 36 last week. So
happy birthday.
Thanks. You may not have thought about this much, but what do you want your legacy to be?
Well, I really think we're kind of building it right now.
Okay.
You know, for MESTIZA, you know, we're building, you know, the legacy that I hope that we have long after we're gone. because we both want MESTIZA New York to really be the premier destination for beautiful couture-like cocktail attire at the price point that the contemporary price point that we ourselves shop. That's like what we want to be. We want to build it to be a globally recognized brand. We want everybody to know who we are.
Yeah, and like kind of going back to my point earlier, when they have a dress in their closet, I want them to be like, that's MESTIZA New York, and that is my happy dress.
Yeah.
So cool. Who and what inspires you?
Honestly, other female women entrepreneurs, because I did not realize how difficult it is to just really put yourself out there and start something from nothing. And when I see and hear stories of other women that have done it, one that stands out in my mind is Sarah Blakely of Spanx. That was one of my favorite stories, hearing her and how she started, and she really did built something amazing. I love women like that. Truly inspire me.
I have to agree. I'm very much into female entrepreneurs and everything that they've done and built and the sacrifices they've made. Pam and Gela of Juicy Couture, they kind of remind me of Alessandra and myself because they were two friends going into business together, and they built an empire. And I just think that's so impressive and unique.
That's really, really cool. What are you reading or watching right now?
Well, you're talking to TV binge watchers podcast. I mean, what aren't we doing right now?
I know we were so excited to be a part of this podcast because Louisa and I are kind of obsessive about podcasts. The past few months, we're like, we listen to a lot of them.
It's a great way to absorb information.
Serial is one that I listen to. How I Built This.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
I recently finished S-Town, which was fascinating. And then in terms of what we're reading, sometimes I read, I've been dabbling with Shoe Dog. I haven't really found time to sit and finish it. I read The Glitter Plan, which is the story about Pam and Gela. And then we watch a lot of really great TV shows.
It's embarrassing how much TV we both watch. And then we come in Monday.
But
it's all of the above.
For me, it's just a really great way to relax. And after a long day of work and being so high energy, it's sometimes just great just to turn it off.
Wow.
Yeah. I've been catching up on season 5 of Game of Thrones because it's coming this weekend. I'm so excited for it.
So yeah, Game of Thrones.
I know, it's coming. Winter is here, my friend.
What's one dream you still want to fulfill in your own life? I know you have one.
Okay, well, I really would like a dishwasher for my apartment.
I don't know. I mean,
I think that we're
building it.
Alessandra kind of mentioned it earlier. Like, we are following our dreams right now, building our own company and trying to make a go out of it.
So good. Well, Louisa and Alessandra, I'm so thankful for you sharing the story of MESTIZA and what you're doing, where you're going, and just your passion for it. It's contagious.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Bye.
Once again, I want to thank our guests today, Alessandra Perez-Rubio and Louisa Rechter, co-founders of MESTIZA New York, for being on the podcast. As always, there is links to their website and social channels in the episode notes. Go check out what they're creating. It's pretty cool. They're awesome people, and they're really doing great things to impact the world around them. Next week, we are back with some more incredible guests. On Monday, we have Bix and Joe Bixon. They are the father-son team. We've got the baby boomer. We got the millennial. They are future hackers working with companies like Adobe, Microsoft, Chevron, Guinness, Starbucks, Ford, so many other incredible companies. We talk about a new corporate DNA, what that means. We talk about generations working across those lines, and so much more. Really cool episode. Then next Thursday, we have Elin and Guy Ferdman. They are the founders of Satori Prime. They've been featured in places like Art of Charm, Huffington Post, Entrepreneur Magazine, Freedom, Fastlane, Superhuman Entrepreneur. We talk about a lot of cool stuff. They are relentless dreamers, and you will be encouraged by their story, and you'll gain some really cool insight about how you can chase your idea from that episode too. Hey, thanks for listening. Now get out there, chase that big idea and dream, and create the world you want to live in.
Les mères de famille, les enfants peuvent également prendre un moment revitalisant dans quelques mois, lorsque vous aurez bien saisi la technique et que vous serez maître de votre corps. Vous pourrez vous décontracter même en travaillant.